All right, let's dive into what is easily one of the most important conflicts happening right now, the incredible high-stakes chess match between the United States and China over semiconductors, those tiny, brilliant chips that are the literal foundation of all artificial intelligence. And right away, you can see how serious this is. This quote from U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, it just says it all. For the U.S., this isn't just about business competition. No, this is a matter of national security, an absolute imperative to stay way out ahead in technologies that are shaping the future, like AI. The core strategy behind all of this has a name: small yard, high fence. Now, the idea here isn't to just block everything. Instead, the U.S. carefully identifies only the most critical, most advanced technologies. That's the small yard. And then builds this incredibly tall, incredibly restrictive, high fence of controls all around it. Let's see what that looks like in action. So, where did this all start? Well, the first real shots were fired when the US had this big realization: whoever dominates the future of AI will be the one with the most powerful computers, plain and simple. And you've got to understand the game end here. The American strategy isn't just a temporary speed bump for China. It is a long-term, deliberate plan designed to fundamentally degrade China's ability to build the most powerful frontier-level AI systems. So, what was America's opening move? Well, back in 2022, the US unleashed these massive export controls. The goal was to basically weaponize its control over these key choke points in the global semiconductor supply chain. And this was an incredibly surgical, three-layered attack. First, you block China from buying the most advanced AI chips. Okay. Second, you block them from buying the super specialized tools you need to make those chips. And third, you block them from buying the tiny, critical components they would need to build those tools themselves. It's a total chokehold from top to bottom. And these controls went so deep. I mean, we're not just talking about NVIDIA's best graphics cards. It was also the essential design software from companies like Synopsys, the irreplaceable manufacturing machines from ASML, and even the super niche components you need just to keep those machines running. The whole shebang. But of course, that's not the end of the story. You see, the first round of controls, as powerful as they weren't perfect. And very quickly, Chinese companies, and even some Western ones, started finding clever ways to work around the new rules. And these workarounds pretty much fell into three buckets. You had technical gaps, things the rules just didn't cover. You had legal circumvention, companies designing products to be just under the legal limit. And then, of course, you had good old-fashioned illegal smuggling. Now, this led to a really fascinating mystery. The US had blocked the tech needed to make chips more advanced than 14 nanometers. But then, in 2023, Huawei completely shocked everyone by releasing a new phone with a 7-nanometer chip inside. So, how on earth was that possible? Well, the answer, and this is pretty brilliant, was a technique called multi-patterning. Basically, the Chinese chipmaker SMIC took older, less restricted equipment and used it multiple times on the same chip. Just think of it like using several simple stencils, one after the other, to create one really, really detailed final image. It was an incredible technical workaround. Then you had the totally legal workarounds. Take NVIDIA, they actually created special, slightly less powerful versions of their best AI chips just for the Chinese market. These chips, the A800 and H800, were tweaked just enough to come in right under the performance limits set by the US rules, which meant they were perfectly legal to sell. So you can bet the US wasn't just going to sit back and watch all this happen. In 2023 and 2024, they came back with a series of major updates designed to plug these loopholes and, tighten the screws even more. So how'd they do it? Well, they got a lot smarter with the rules. They took this metric called total processing performance and slashed the threshold way down, making it much harder for chips to get through. They also got rid of another metric, interconnect speed, because it turns out to be a really easy loophole to design around. And this update took direct aim at those workarounds we just talked about. Those special NVIDIA chips for China, the A800 and H800, yep, they were now explicitly banned. And to crack down on smuggling, the US extended the rules to cover 43 other countries, making it way harder to just reroute the chips through a third party. Okay, so with the processor loopholes getting plugged, the US started looking for the next critical choke point, and they found it in this concept called the memory wall. See, you can have the fastest AI processor in the world, but it's totally useless if you can't feed it data fast enough. That data bottleneck, that's the memory wall. The key technology to break through that wall is something called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. And here's the crucial part. The market for HBM is almost completely controlled by just three companies: SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron. All of them are in countries allied with the US. You couldn't ask for a more perfect choke point. So you know what happened next? In 2024, the US made its move. It banned the sale of advanced HBM to China. The goal here is to make sure that even if China manages to build powerful processors, they won't have the super fast memory to make them work, effectively keeping their AI capabilities stuck at least 2 generations behind the cutting edge. The 2024 updates didn't stop there either. They ruled out other sophisticated measures, like a new rule to stop companies from just manufacturing the chips offshore for China. They also expanded their blacklists to catch all these shadowy firms affiliated with Huawei, and put out new red flags to help companies spot smuggling schemes. Okay, so after all that back and forth, that's where we are today. The US has built this really complex, constantly evolving web of controls. But this game of cat and mouse, it is far from over. There are some huge challenges ahead. For this whole strategy to work in the long run, it needs full buy-in and cooperation from key allies, like Japan, the Netherlands, and South Korea. But, politics can be messy, and keeping everyone on the same page is tough. On top of that, China isn't just playing defense anymore. It's hitting back with its own export controls on critical raw materials. And all of this leaves us with one final really big question. We're watching this constant cycle of action and reaction, this technological chess match playing out in real time. But as the AI arms race gets faster and faster, you have to wonder, can any fence, no matter how high you build it, truly contain technology forever?